Hello, welcome once again to It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. I'm your host, Frank Weber. So glad you could join me in the forest once again this week, where we seek the truth and we seek a lot of other things that really aren't measurable, but I know that they're real and they're out there, and I hope that you're seeking them as well. I have another situation this week where I didn't really have a lot to talk about, and it's sometimes hard to come up with a topic, and I could have taken the low-hanging fruit of talking about the Super Bowl and what all was involved in that and the aftermath, and is the NFL really good anymore or not, which I've talked about many times on this show. I decided to do something a little bit different that potentially won't be that long, but just rest assured, the NFL of today is kind of like a socially awkward relative in my book. And you have guys who promote sports and a business and they want to make money and everything, yet somehow they seem to want to do things that are kind of socially opposite of what I think a lot of the population wants when it comes to halftime performers and commercials and so forth. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. But the topic that I wanted to mention this week is I'm in a couple of classes this semester. Those of you who know that I'm in financial planning and studying for an MBA at Texas Tech, and a couple of classes that are very research-based or research-adjacent. And that's very important. I'm learning a lot in them. I don't want to put them down or anything like that. But scientific research or research that uses scientific methods can only test testable things, and that lead to knowledge and potentially technology and innovation later on. And that's great. We need that in this world, but it's not a language that applies to everything, and possibly not even to the most important things. So what I'm trying to say to you here is that values like truth, which of course we are constantly seeking on here, truth and genuineness and realness in terms of life experiences, and as well as beauty and justice. I even included things like spirituality and ethics. Those are not really testable, but that doesn't mean that they are not real and meaningful to a lot of people. And so that you get into this dichotomy a lot of times. There's kind of elitists, if you will, on both sides of the equation who one wants to dismiss the other and vice versa, and that's not really healthy or even really very consistent with human life and human experience. And I just, I hope that we have an innate, whether we admit it or not, we have this innate desire to find truth and beauty and justice and so forth. For example, it always annoys me when it comes to justice. It doesn't annoy me. We all have a sense of, we like the ancient battle between good and evil, the story archetype and everything, and this is why cop shows and crime shows and lawyer shows are really big, especially now on what used to be one of my favorite channels, the Heroes and Icons channel. But a lot of people have tuned into those for years and years because it satisfies their sense of justice. And of course, people want good to defeat evil, generally speaking, and they want justice to be served in the courts. So that finding, even though it's not measurable, means that it is very important for us as human beings, and so we look for it. The same is true for beauty, beauty wherever it can be found, whether it's in nature, in other human beings. You don't typically I mean, it could be in art. I mean, it could be anywhere, right? Could be in comedy. Absolutely love comedy. I made a comment about comedy and wanting to, there should be more research done on how comedy decreases stress and physiological responses like sweaty hands and heart rate and everything. And I think it would be a really fun study, right, if you wanted to do research. But anyway, as far as just general beauty in the world, we do seek that out as humans. And generally speaking, we don't cover it up. Like, you wouldn't say like, well, that's a very beautiful tree. I put it in my yard. I'm just going to cover it up with a sheet. And it won't be able to get sunlight, and maybe it won't be able to get rain, and then you take the sheet off and then it's dead. Same thing with us, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be physical or visual beauty, but just beauty in general. Shouldn't be covered, should be exposed, should be out there for all of us to healthily enjoy. And then, of course, there's a general thing about truth, and which I want to seek on this show all the time. I try to put forth these ideas, and whether I'm speaking well or not, or, I guess I understand that I may have some need to go and be in a place like Toastmasters to learn how to speak better and everything. I think that's a good idea. Whether it's not being able to express my views or whether some of you don't care about my views, I still want to tell you about them. And we're seeking truth because I think that there is a need and a desire in the human heart to know what is true, what is real, what is genuine, and not always having to hide all the time, hide ourselves all the time from that, or always to be on guard from other people who are not necessarily real and genuine. We need to have some assurance, I guess you could say, that there is truth and beauty and a realness in the world, and that still exists despite all the things that people have learned and taught themselves to kind of pretend to be real, but maybe are not so much real. A lot of times it happens with business transactions, but it could happen in other things as well. I think it does happen in religion. It certainly happens in politics. But again, in that sense, we're pursuing truth. And of course, there's our systems of ethics and right and wrong and general pursuit of spirituality and things that transcend our experience and oftentimes give us additional meaning that the sciences and other things can't measure and can't even really begin to measure. And so anyway, that's been on my mind this week. It's kind of a different way of thinking. You have the scientific, data-driven research methods and statistical methods, but then you have this other way that's important as well, and it is a different way of thinking, and I don't know how many of us a lot of times are inclined to think that way. And so I would encourage you in this next week to really think about those things that I said today and maybe try to apply them into your life and think about where they are and look for them, because they're not hard to find. And, if you're really, in pursuit of that, and this is not necessarily a Christian sermon or anything like that. I mean, I do believe in Christ, and I believe in, that spiritual life, of course, but that's not necessarily what this is about. But I do agree in the higher calling and the higher values and higher virtues, and I hope that you do too. So just have your eyes peeled, as we used to say, for things that are intangible. Maybe you might say somewhat subjective, but in reality, I think a lot of us share a lot of common values when it comes to truth, beauty, and justice, and spirituality and ethics, and probably a few other things that I have failed to mention here. So anyway, that's my little take-home nugget for you this week on my abbreviated show. Again, I feel tempted, like I want to talk about the Super Bowl and everything. I should say congratulations to the Seahawks for winning it. That's the fairest thing I can do. But anyway, I didn't really want to talk about all the social issues and, the things that make that game a little bit different now than what it used to be. But anyway, I guess before I go, the ratings, of course, have generally gone up the last few months, although they seem to be kind of maybe falling a little bit this time. The last couple of shows have been difficult to make and kind of difficult to really get rolling on, have a run on. But I would really love it if I've been imploring you to leave your comments. Sometimes your direct messages, assuming that you're not a bot, because apparently Substack has bots as well that always like my show, and it's always some picture of they're not always beautiful women. Well, they are beautiful in a human sense if they're real. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said if they're real. If they're just bots or AI generated, then maybe not. But like they're usually from beautiful women who supposedly beautiful women who like my show and everything, but I don't think that's an actual person behind them. But anyway, I would love to hear your comments and your DMs if you're a real person, and I would really like to hear your questions. There's a lot of things that I could get into and do a deeper dive in and, search for truth within them. And I don't know, I don't get a lot of those from anybody, and it's really kind of sad. I kind of would love to hear from you, and would love to hear if this show is important to you. And I don't, never getting any feedback and is a difficult thing, very difficult thing. And I have, of course, as I've said, dreams and aspirations for this show and how I can make it better in the future. And it's difficult to put a lot of time into it, though, right now with everything that's going on. And I've been inundated with moving stuff and, trying to go to school and learn the material as well and all that. And, whether I get around to a nice new show this year or not, I don't know. But I would appreciate, just hearing from you and maybe, submitting a question or a topic that I can cover on the air here would be much appreciated. I would really look forward to those. And, almost anything goes if you really want to have a deep discussion about it. I'm not afraid of anything, and you shouldn't be afraid of anything either in this life. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up here. So please send me comments, questions. Would absolutely love to hear from you, from a realness perspective especially. And of course, before I go, as always, hit that subscribe button. Share it with everybody you know. I do this every week. It's fun. It's not necessarily a lot of hard work, but it is fun, and I do find meaning in it. And I hope you find some meaning in it as well. That's the most important thing, for you to find meaning and value in this show. And so if you do, share it and hit that subscribe button as well. So anyway, that's it for me today. I'm going to wrap this show up early. Got a lot of things to do. Get concerned that I'm going to be bothered or something here in a little bit as well. But anyway, I will see you again here in the forest next week. And until then, this is your host, Frank Weber, signing off from It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. Bye. I love you. Be real. Seek the truth. Seek the things that aren't so concrete here this next week and forever beyond that. Until then, bye.